Here's a test. I don't know if anyone's going to show up for this or not. Let me put it somewhere. Let's see. Oh boy. I wonder, can anybody hear this? We're getting they're doing some work on our video, on our uh, connection. Hey, Goldfinger, is the sound okay? Hi, Floodland. Ah, good. Great. Yeah, I missed four different chats this weekend as at my grandson's uh, graduation, which goes on and on and on. So I just thought we could have an impromptu watch chat. Wonder if I can. Hang on a second. Let me see. Hang on a second. There's that. Share. I'm going to share this. I hope I don't lose it. We'll see. Okay, I'm back. I don't know if I was ever gone. All right, what do you guys want to talk about? Let's talk about Groenfeld, Groengraf, or B letter. I was lucky enough to get both. Wow. Yeah, I guess you were lucky. Uh, Tell me about the letter that you got, Goldfinger. Those his stuff is really excellent. Unfortunate it is way out of my financial range. 25, 25. Okay. Interesting. Now the chronograph. Hi, Mark. Letter CIC. Yeah, I'm not sure what that one is. I mean, what are some things about it? What are some characteristics? Because some of his things, doesn't he have some that he used he has some constant force elements. Did he use remontoire égalité in one of his? That's what I thought. Hi, Powell. The notification about this meeting popped up, and I instantly clicked it, and I lost a Clash of Clans battle. Oh no! Well, I'm glad you made it, Paul. Hi, Paul. Yeah, let me tell you what happened. We were at my doing things with our grandson who graduated from high school, and for the whole weekend. I mean, it used to be they'd give us a diploma and tell us to get lost. Now, though, there's all of these things that we have that they celebrate. And next we'll be celebrating off to college. So anyway, and then tomorrow I found out they're going to be upgrading our internet, and so it's going to be off and on. So I thought, well, I've missed four chats over the weekend, so I better pop up and see if there's something we can do. The 1941 chronograph looks nice. Yeah, Yeah, that does. I got to tell you though, when it comes to chronographs, and I'm not a chronograph fan, when it comes to chronographs, the one by the Agengraph by Agenhor, just amazing. Uh, Nothing wrong with any of the Groenfeld. It's just that in terms of preferences, would really, really, really be nice. Hi, Adam. How you doing, man? But the Groenfeld, I'd love to have one of those. They have one. They have a Remontois Egalité. I, I had an opportunity to get one, but I couldn't afford it at the time, so I had to pass. I think they were around 54, something like that. I just didn't have that in my spare change. Hey, let me talk about something else real quick if I can. I guess it was last Friday. I guess it was Friday. I had a video about using these luxury sites. I mentioned the Real Real and Fashion File. Excuse me, one called First Dibs. And this guy said he used to work at one of those places, and he said you got to, be careful. So let me pass that on. Be careful. Of course, that's true for all of them. I've had problems with the main ones, so like Chrono 24, and I've had problems with eBay. But they you can expect those. I don't know if they're any worse with some of these other places. I've heard things about other things. I got one thing from one of them. I forgot which one it was, and it was great. I mean, it was a great deal. It was a great buy. It was great everything about it. But that without having more information about some experiences that people have had with anything, I always check on that. Hi, Eric. My daily chrono driver, Lang and Hine. Oh God, yes. Oh God, yes. That's that Lang. Anything by Lang. Oh yeah. Enamel dial. Yeah, that thing. Lang and Hine stuff is so good. I mean, Marco Lang. I'm more of a the beautiful movement kind of guy. And the on the you flip over a Georg and the way they have everything set up um, is really amazing. Um, ah, so anyway, yeah, Langenheim is great. Here you have this is something that I'm always amazed at when I'm looking at that is that they have here you have this little company, this little German company, and you have all these other companies, other German companies, I might add, and they just use off the shelf movements by Solita or ETA or somebody like that, and and here's this one little company, Marco Lang. He had I don't know, he must have developed 6 or 7 different movements and really interesting movements. So that's something I think that is very special about them. Geo 60's green dial with a in-house movement for 5K. Well, Arabia, Arabia Felix. I like the Geos, the Glashudi originals, and I like the green dials. Those are really very attractive watches. Um, let's talk about some projects. That's always fun. I was talking to this morning. I was talking to Nicholas Wiederek in Switzerland this morning about some different stuff. And one of the things he said, did I hear right? Were you thinking about doing something with getting that? I guess that replacement. What's that called? A calcis. The Vincent Calabrasi. I don't know if you're familiar with this or not, but he did this sort of device, really, called a calcist to replace the hairspring. And he had a proof of concept that he built with I think he got a Salida and took out the hairspring and put in this little device that he made. Looks sort of like a hammer, and it's really cool looking. I don't know if you're familiar with it or not, but I thought, wow, wouldn't that be a neat project? Is to talk with someone like Aguilar and say, hey, how about let's make a new movement with that. That was one thing we talked about, and the other thing I think would be really cool is to get Aguilar and Daniela Dufour together, get them both together, and create a watch with a big balance wheel running at like 18,000 semi oscillations per hour. And then have, like on the Georg, how they have these little finger um, bridges for all of the different wheels in the wheel train. And so you can look at it. Man, I got this cough. One of the things, we've been having some really strange weather. We've been getting smoke from these big fires they're having just north of us in Canada, and it's like cough, cough, cough. Anyhow, that's what that's from. Have a Take a cough drop. Anyway, what do you think of that kind of project for a thing that a bunch of irresponsible watch collectors to take on? Ah, I see you're speechless. Where can you buy some cushions? Depending on where you live, you can have them made for you. Oh, I tell you, here's a place, Etsy. If you go to Etsy, they have everything. Anyway, back to those movements. They seem like something that might be a lot of fun to put together. What are some other watches that you want to that looked interesting to you? Here's one that I thought was sort of an interesting comment by someone they made. Hi, Adam. I love the resonance movement. Yeah, me too. Those things, they're just a handful of them. Um, let me show you something I've been working on, and I haven't really. I've got to get my act together. I got these two identical movements. Okay, I got them from someplace like AliExpress. I think these are the two. Hang on. Yeah. Whoops. There are two movements that are identical, and what I want to do with them is to sort of, if you can see it, shave off this part right here, and then put them so that I have the two balance wheels close enough so that they can achieve resonance. But I found out I put them close together and it didn't quite work. And so I got this thing right here. This is for it's got diamond dust and stuff in it for I thought, and I'm gonna do it by hand. I can shave down the metal so I can get the two balance wheels within close enough to each other so they can generate resonance. I don't know whether that would work or not. It might. No, not a Frankenstein. It's a watch. Good grief. Albert versus 1815 chrono. Chronometer or chronograph? Still looking into the Daniel Roth Breguet models. There are two of them. Mainly two. One's called the 3130 that I talked about. There's another one called the 3137, which may simply be a version of the other one. Hey, Dominic, how you doing? Hi, Paul. I'm getting very ambitious. Well, what's the alternative, Paul? There's got to be an alternative. Yeah, that beat Holloman's is really something. Yeah, Dominic, I was at had my grandson was having a graduation, and so there was I figured, well, I'll have an impromptu one today, just sort of off the top of my head. Um, yeah. So, well, tomorrow they're upgrading the internet for us, which and they said, well, your internet's going to be gone for a while, so God knows what's going to happen on that. A whole bunch of work that I've got to get done, and oh, by the way, where is he, Paul? I was talking to Nicholas today, and I found out something really, really very cool about a new balance in our watch. So that'll be something we can talk about. Oh yeah. Oh, the big thing was I really like he's going to college um, over on Long Island, and so we'll be over there and visit him. When kids start college, when I was taught at the university, they'd have these orientations, and he'd be the kid here, and here'd be his family here, and he'd pretend or she'd pretend like I don't know these people. I'll be one of those grandparents that oh boy, we don't know this guy. Okay, um, trying to get my lozenger. Hey, Eric, how you doing? Well, there's no checking in late because this was sort of came out of nowhere. I found out that they were going to take down our internet, so we were talking about that. Hi, Michael. You should speak with Vincent. I mean, the mechanism itself should have some enhancement compared to the hairspring. Otherwise, we will bump in the same problems. Ask yourself why AGH is telling you to use what? AGH isn't telling me to use anything. Michael. Or is that no, it's Michelle. Hey Michelle. Um Hey Truman. What is it, Saturday? Yeah, it is, Truman. It's Saturday already. Now just put that bong down and join the discussion. Hey, Light, strange place to buy watches. In the UK, some of the pawnbrokers sites are worth browsing. You know, I got a great deal, Light 15, at a pawnbroker. I think it was a really good Vacheron Constantin 1972. And I think the guy is talking, there's pawnbrokers know the price of things, but they don't know the price of everything. And a lot of times, somebody coming along offering them uh, a lot for something. Um, I ended up getting a good deal. Ended up selling it for double what I paid for it, but that's another story. My absolute favorite movement is the crayon everywhere. It allows you to set sunrise. Oh my God, yes. Adam, that is what I have. You know, the one I tell you that I have that Longines equation of time watch. They have some big long name for it, and that one is very impressive too. I mean, it was something I could afford. So a mere $600,000, and it can be yours. Yeah, that's the only problem with it. Hey, Eli, how you doing, man? Hi, William. Oh, yeah, we have a new mailman, or it's a mail lady we have, and I was out waiting for the mail. She shows up with her mail. I like your hat. I Boy, we got a good new mail lady. I'm happy with that. Our mailman we had before was great too. So we have to break in a new one. Picked up at auction a vintage Rolex in form of a padlock. Oh, how interesting, Dominic. That sounds really interesting. You know, um, some of these things you can find some of the most interesting watches at the best deals in the most unusual places. That's why you fun to look at different places. I know. Again, let me reiterate the warning that I received from one guy who used to work at one of the luxury places. He said to be careful, and he's right. I can only aspire to the amazing choices in headgear. Okay, young Brando. Eli, well, I tell you, uh, I don't know. People are hats. People don't wear them too much, but uh, once I retired, I thought I can wear a hat. I can wear anything I want. So a hat. Um, oh yeah, I something else came up this week, as they said in Monty Python. um, the question pertains to the meaning of life. No, it's number 42. I thought. Yeah, I agree with that. Um, there are some. Oh, let me ask you this. Here's a question I have for you. Okay, this is a riddle. Let's say that someone said uh, they were they made a watch and they were going on and on about the watch, and then they said, "Oh, and by the way, I got for a movement, I use something from a pocket watch that was at 18,000 VPH." What would your guess be that movement most likely was? The one something that's relatively accessible. Which one, William? and we'll say it's got a small seconds at 6 o'clock. Possibly that. Yeah, there's some that would be 6498. Exactly. That's the same thing I thought. The 6498-1. When somebody says things like that, oh, what movement? Well, we got a movement that's uh, from a pocket watch that's 18,000 VPH. The first one I thought of was the 6498-1. Now, it could be a Lamania, it could be a lot of other things. But if you're going to talk about your movement, then you simply say Lamania. Okay. But if you don't want people to know exactly what you're doing, you say, well, it's from a pocket watch and it's 18,000 VPH. That's why my guess would be an ETA 6498-1. Wearing my Zenith El Primero rainbow bicolor on a JLC strap, going to my most blingest watches of the week. Okay. All right. I don't know what watch my bling watch. This is my bling. My bling is my orange strap. Hey, Truman, what's up? Is the cheapest Agonese chrono found in a Moser? Oh, $40,000, I think is what it is. If you call that cheap. Yeah. Let's see. I think Fabergé and Singer also have a watch with the Agongraph chronograph movement in it. The thing I like about the H. Moser is that they took out the hour hand. They took out the chronograph hour hand, which is sort of like, I don't know who uses a chronograph hour hand. I don't know. I don't like I said, I'm not a chronograph fan. I something I wouldn't use. Um, I'm wearing Omega Aquaterra 41 millimeter green dial. That sounds like a pretty watch. Hey, ARS. Durham Bluth and versus Harboring, which do you prefer? I tell you, that's a good question. I like them both. It was, I would say, probably if push came to shove, I'd probably take a Harboring on that one. But I like them both. I mean, it wouldn't be like somebody flipped a coin. I'd take it heads or tails on that one. But I do like them both. I like the story behind Dornbluth and how they struggled during the old times. I'm wearing a 73 El Primero with a 3119 PHC movement. Wow. Harboring 2, the aesthetic is a little difficult though. The Harboring 2, the aesthetic of it is very sort of an Austrian Bauhaus, if we could call it that. There's it's I suppose it's the same way with Nomos. If you have a Nomos, you gotta be into the Nomos somehow. Hey Mark, I heard in a watch blog from yesterday that Moser bought Agenor. Well, not exactly. Okay. What happened, Mark, was that um the H. Moser bought an interest in Agenor. And let me describe it the same way that Chanel described their buying into Romain Gauthier. They bought a friendly interest in it. Now, the reason they did that, they put an investment in it, is that they wanted to be sure they were in first in line in getting the Agengraph movements. I don't blame them. That movement is amazing. So that's the real poop behind it. For a chronograph, a no-brainer. I respect the legacy of Richard Harbring has with IWC. Yeah, that's Eli. I agree. That what's that called? The Doble or something like that. Um, that he did that he worked out for IWC. A Doppel, that's it. The Doppel chronograph. Yeah, a lot of customizations for that. What do you guys want a chronograph for? It's sort of a mystery, I guess. Chronograph, well, very sophisticated kind of movement. According to who was it? What's her name? Uh Fui. Forstier Casapi. Carol, is that it? Carol Forestier Casapi, who won the Watchmaker of the Year award back in, I think it was 2012, for the work she had done with sort of bringing all of the Cartier movements up to where they were. What she said, she thought that developing a chronograph was more difficult than a tourbillon. So, I mean, a chronograph, sort of, if you want the king or queen of complications, that might be it. Uh, so, yeah, Paul, I agree with that. Yeah, dorm booth for the movement finishing. Carol Casapi Forstier. I thought it was Forstier Casapi. Truman. Maybe I'm wrong. I have a Mecca quartz chronograph. The thing about uh, quartz watches with chronographs and everything else, they seem to be able to do it so simply and so inexpensively. uh, let's talk about a little about my favorite non-topic. Um, the the non-topic I want to talk about is the silicone hairsprings. Okay, I know all of the reasons that silicone hairsprings are great, but um, you can't adjust them. Well, I guess there's one that Omega has that you can adjust to some extent. But one of the points was that somebody was saying, well, I think that in a brigade, they said, well, if Abraham Louis Breguet saw a silicon hairspring in a Breguet labeled watches, he would be very proud of the fact. What Louis Breguet would be very amazed in and very interested in would be quartz watches and smart watches, way more than somebody's, to me, took a shortcut to solving the problem of magnetization using silicon. Wow, a waiting list is 14 months now. Jesus. I have a Valju 7753 was a date pusher. Cool. Okay. Let's talk about chronometers, not chronograph, but chronometers. Is If you have a Rolex, you have a chronometer. All Rolexes, they decided to go with COSC, I think, and add chronometers. Um, eh, how important is a chronometer? Do you think? I mean, for you personally, to have something that's been chronometer tested, and if it passes, it's great. If it doesn't, then too bad. For example, I've got on this is my H. Moser Endeavor Center Seconds, also known as a monad. Uh, 7 days, very accurate, um, but it's not chronometer certified. So is that important? Do you guys think it? Oh yeah, I know. They say they do, don't they? Master. Um. Anyway, so what do you guys think of the importance of chronometers? And they have different ones. There's COSC, Metas. The one that to me would be the coolest one to have is the one from based on Cone Observatory in France. That's just over the border from Switzerland. Does anybody have one with a that's been certified by the based on Cone? Oh yeah, one of the thing RRS is that yeah, I think chronometers are important in that it can meet those standards. um, and that's sort of tells you how well it was made and tells you some other kinds of things about the watch. When I got my Lyrique, I thought, what I'm going to do? I'm going to have it tested for a chronometer. And so I sent it in to, they have the Horological Society of New York has that kind of testing. So I sent it in and they tested it for 15 days, different temperatures, different angles, different everything. And it passed in fact, it better than passed the chronometer. The reason, though, I would like to have it done by base on comb is that you get they have a stamp that's a serpent's head, and they stamp the old thing, the punch, and so you get a watch and you look on the movement, and there's this nasty serpent's head that's sort of cool. Hey, Bleak Star. Yeah, no, Blake cost me $150 to have it done, but that's not a deal killer, really. The quality Fleurier, yeah, that's something. A lot of early Roger Dubuis are certified by the base home cone. Oh, I didn't know that. Also too, your Roger Dubuis have the Geneva seal, and if they have the Geneva seal, they have their chronometer certified too. Hi, Emmanuel. On the Chopard WC Quattro Spirit 25, the COSC is really great feature because the watch has a jumping hour mechanism and you need it to be very accurate. Okay. Okay, Blake Star, chronometer and finishing. Yeah, those are two good things. I just inherited a 1960s vintage Omega Seamaster DeVille. It's a gold top with stainless steel 34 millimeter case. Pretty cool original dial hands and plexiglass crystal. That does sound cool. You like the Geneva seal as a concept, yeah. Accuracy is great when you want to reach your train departure every day. Superlative. Well, it was. If you want to reach Well, this is what people use. They use what I use to set my watches. I don't care if they're chronometers or not. Even a quartz watch, you're going to get something, your smartwatch or your phone or something like that for, uber uh, accuracy. I think the thing about accuracy, I agree on the one hand, though, but I see it in a different way. The accuracy of a watch is more a reflection, especially with mechanical watch, of the quality of the watch. This watch winded up for 7 days, and it's extremely accurate. And I know that because I wind it up, take a look at my iPhone, and yep, it's right on time. So it's sort of one of those ironies is that using one device to make sure that your mechanical device is on time. Hey, young, I see some beautiful and elaborate paperwork is provided with those Dubuis pieces certified by Basin Cone. Oh yeah, I bet those would be cool. Those would be very cool to have. I just would like to have that serpent's head stamp. Maybe Larique. We'll talk to him. Get a deal with Larique. A guy who uses Basin Cone is Laurent Ferrier. Yeah, Laurent Ferrier. His watches are COSC certified by Basin Cone. I don't know why. You know, black dials. Okay, so suggestions: 40 to 42 millimeter display case back, yellow gold, in-house, great finishing, with calendar and moon phase for under 13,000. Moon phases. I've got one watch with a working moon phase, and it's harder. It's hard, and that's a Kristen Vanderklaw. I don't know. It's sort of like watching paint dry or watching the hour hand watch a moon phase or a calendar hand. I'll sit here and watch the old calendar. Same thing with the moon phase. It's sort of nice, so you get it. You can check it every now and then, see where the moon is, or where, or I don't know, is it where your watch should be or where the moon should be? By the way, too, your chronometer accuracy is set by um, astronomical settings, astronomy for against the timing of certain planets, and that's why they were done at observatories. Excuse me. That's what Basin Combe is, an observatory, and so they set their old watch up and they look at a star, whatever they look at, and say this is either accurate or not. Hey, mate. Sorry I'm late for the party. Hey, it's not your fault. I just was. I found out that they're gonna shut down our internet for a lot of tomorrow, and so I thought, well, I missed 4 live streams. I thought this would be a fun one to have. We can just sort of screw around, talk about whatever we want. Wasn't there a Tag Heuer tourbillon chrono some years back with the Viper's head? I don't know. I don't know, but it sounds interesting. A tourbillon. I've got an SS JLC master calendar I picked up last year. I absolutely love it. They make the exact same one in rose gold, and I hate rose gold. Nothing matches. Okay. Well, I like rose gold. I like all gold. I like rose gold. I like yellow gold. I even like white gold, even though it looks the same as stainless steel. Reversal calendar XL case in y'all. Yeah, that's a wonderful watch. I like those. Blancpain Villeray. Yeah, it's a full Monty for me. Okay, that's all I need. No, what I want to do, I was talking about earlier. This is really would be a great group project, and let's get together a bunch of guys who don't have any sense at all, but would get that Vincent Calabrese movement. I'm sorry, not the movement, but the hairspring, and which is not a hairspring, but called the calcis, and then work something up with Agenor and have them make a movement with that, using that as a hairspring instead of a hairspring, using the calcis. Trying to figure out some way. The other thing I think this might even, I think I might even like this better is get a some kind of deal between Agenor and Daniela Dufour and have a watch with a nice big fat hairspring, not hairspring, but balance. So you have the constant balance, and then you have the gears laid out like in the Langenheim Georg, so you can see the whole gear train in the back with this big old balance wheel, and just look at that. And then on the front, you could have whatever you want. That'd be a fun thing to be a fun project for a movement from scratch. This is what I was talking to Nicholas Viderek this morning. He on the I was finding out trying to find out about the project, how the movement has come along. So everything's coming along great. Um, there's some big fair tomorrow that they have in Geneva. I think it's in Geneva, where all of the parts and all of the people who make all the different parts of the movements and stuff. They have it from June 6th, which is tomorrow, through the 9th, which is probably Friday. And so it's a big deal. So all of the people we work with are going to be at this fair. So Eric, I'm not sure. I've wondered exactly the same thing. Once you get it all set up and it's a matter, yeah, it is a matter of adjustment. It's sort of like you test it and then you see if it's fast or slow, and then you fix it, and then you go back. Now, the thing is that if you do it with different positions, you're going to get different results. And so usually what they have to do is sort of like, well, it's a little fast here, a little slow here, and plus 10 here, and plus minus 5 here. So we'll set it at some number in between there. White gold has such a nuanced, warm glow, plus the weight. My favorite metal, platinum, is soulless. I don't know if platinum's soulless. I've got one platinum watch. I have three white gold watches, none of which I realized was white gold when I got them, and I like them fine. But platinum is soulless. No, my platinum. I tell you one thing: if you ever want to have a platinum watch polished, learn how to polish. It's really expensive. My FP Journe, I think it's if I want it polished, it's an extra $800. So I told them, yeah, why don't you hold up on that? I'll polish it myself. I'm a sucker for precious metal. Yeah, I like it too. And you're right about the price, Blake. I, don't- you know, my biggest sucker attraction is for an interesting movement. That's my real weak spot. I'm coming to like Guy Lochet a lot. The more I learn about Guy Lochet and how it's done, the more I come to like it and appreciate it. And you can get some great hand turned Guy Lochet uh, if you know where to look. Or actually, it's not know if you know where to look. It's if you know how to look. Hi, Amika. I've been offered a gym set, H. Moser Tourbillon Vanta Block. What do you think of the watch? I like the hat. uh, let's see. What do I think of? Well, as I mentioned, I there's something about that Vanta Black tourbillon that's mesmerizing. I got to tell you that. I mean, the Vanta Black is sort of the color of a black hole. That just is black, black, black. So and again, I really like H. Moser. H. Moser is a company, in my opinion, that sort of is leads the way, I think, in so many different areas. The work that they do and with precision engineering as part of it, I sort of take that as a unit, the same way that Beauvais and oh, Dements or whatever the name of their movement is, that they're all really part of the same thing. Same thing with H. Moser, except uh, precision engineering is the ones that makes the Strawman hairsprings. And a big part of the business that H. Moser has is selling those hairsprings because they're so good. And they're the ones that are made of niobium and titanium are the two main ingredients in it. And your top watchmakers, Kari Vuitton and MB&F, Larique, they all use it. Hello from Halifax, Canada. I visited Halifax one day, had a ball. I really like Halifax. I really do. Really interesting history to Halifax. Just amazing place. So welcome, Jose. I've got a solid Cuban bracelet in 18 karat white gold. I wear it every day, but I really don't like the warmth. I would have gotten in platinum, but no jeweler makes it. Okay. Omega Museum Cosmic Watch has a calendar and moon phase with golden unique movement, not coaxial. Yeah, I tell you, to me, Omega has the perfect paradox for somebody like me, for a collector like me, who doesn't like silicon hairspring but loves a coaxial escapement. I think the only place you can get one with a coaxial escapement that they haven't, stuffed in those silicon hairsprings is from Roger Smith, which I can't afford. Kilo Shea, let's talk Brigade. In the video that I had that came out this morning, I was looking at it and I was looking up all of these different kinds of Guillot shape patterns. And I guess the clou de Paris or the hobnail was one of the most common, and that's used in brigades. One of the things though that was interesting about it, I'm not sure how they do it, whether it's part of Guillot or what it is, but around the subdial, I don't have one here, but around the subdial, you have the hobnail guilloche, and then around the where they have a moon phase subdial, you have these little coin edge that separates the guilloche from where the subdial begins, and then in the subdial they have this sort of wavy kind of guilloche. That's in the 130. Uh, Neat watch. I wonder if the newer AP movements use a Strawman with 4 hertz beat rate. I don't know, Truman. One of the things that I don't know what changed with Audemars Piguet, but I think they used to have a lot of 3 hertz movements. Maybe they changed policies. A lot of companies, including Swatch, they up the frequency from like 2.5 hertz up to 4 hertz. Sort of to me is sort of like beating a rented mule. Pow, pow, put that put that thing up there, work out the. I don't know why they did it at 4 hertz. I wonder if let's see, Stephen, what's uh, IYHO can a watch be high horology if it has silicon hairsprings? Geneva Seal doesn't think so. You know, first of all, high horology sort of was set up by the Foundation Day something or other, which was really established by the Richemont. And so what high horology has come to really be is a marketing tool, I think, more than anything else. And so you can have, for example, I think I would rather have a stainless steel Langenheim than a gold Rolex or a gold Patek Philippe, uh, because of the movement, the primacy of the movement in the Langenheim rather than the primacy of the finishing. Even though the Langenheim's finishing is extraordinary. Which brand CEO is impressing you? Oh, that's easy. Edward Malon of H. Moser. Hey, Tim. Well, Bill on Saturday was doing stuff they have as a graduation. I've lost all track of time. I think the graduation was on graduation. It was on Friday or Saturday. I don't remember. Patek equals Spiromax. I thought Spiromax was Rolex, but Rolex only used it in a few of their watches. They kept their what is it, Parachrome hairsprings, which I really, really respect Rolex for doing. Hey, Floodlet, am I giving it away? So, yeah, I finally graduated from high school, Tim. Yay! What do you think of the Bliver watch and the 1 million CHF price? You know what I'm more impressed with? I'm most impressed with a company that has a really good movement and a decent watch more than anything else. I mean, if you want to talk about $1 million watch, I like the Dufour Simplicity. Here you have a beautifully done watch, but it's simplicity is a wonderful name for it, and it's done so well. It's a super watch. So it's like Bliver or Believer, whatever his name is. He's sort of an interesting guy. He really is. The watches I've seen that he's done look really good to me, but I don't know if they're worth a million. They, you know, yeah, Blake, that's what they had. Tim still like the Patek 5227. I love my Calatrava. When I had a Calatrava, I just loved that watch. Mine was an older one, and it was a little small. But that thing was, yeah, what a wonderful watch that was. Oh, by the way, they had one. They have a Patek for about 10,000. That's like 30,000 list price watch. I really like that. and I was very tempted by it. Then I remembered that anything after 2009 on a paddock is silicon. If you see that PP approval on it, to me that is got to be. I listen. There's so many things about Patek I like. There's one thing I don't like, and that's when they started putting in silicon hairspring. Why didn't they develop one, a metal one, like H. Moser or Rolex did? I mean, they could have done that, but it was expensive, and so developing silicon hairsprings was expensive too. But I think there's that at a certain point it gets really cheap, and they're not the problems. It's not the complexities that you have with a hairspring, a regular hairspring. Yeah. Oh, okay. So it was they're all called Spiromax. Young Brando. Young Brando's right. He's. Um, I guess I should be an expert on what I don't like. Sorry. Rolex uses the Saloxi hairspring in the perpetual 1908. That doesn't require a brigade overcoil. Means it can be thinner, sleeker case. Mhm. You ought to see the one I have. I have a Van Cleef and Arpels. Um, what's it called? The one with the long name, RDC at Ur Dayer, with a movement by Jean-Marc Viderec. Very thin watch, and I hope it's got a Breguet overcoil in it. It's got a micro. Trouble is, it got this little balance wheel. That the micro watches with micro rotors. The micro rotor is on the same level as the balance wheel, as opposed to those big fat rotors you can just put on top, and they don't really get in the way of the room for the rest of your mechanism, your gear train, or the balance and escapement and so forth. But somehow he did it. Got this thin watch. Have you seen the new budget watch by Andrea Stellar called the Stellar Cena? No, but it's around 24,000. Wow, yeah. Andrea Stellar stuff he's another watchmaker. This is I think it's important that we where when you have a true watchmaker, a really good one like Stella, who's also innovative, they're worth their weight in gold. Um, this is why these new guys, these young guys coming up, like Peterman and Bedot and some of these other guys, to me, they're essential to the future of real watchmaking, as opposed to a lot of these companies that come along and they figured out a way. Like I think the whole silicon hairspring thing is part of that. And Eli's right; they're all part of the same deal. I mean, part of this the collaboration between Swatch, Patek Philippe, and Rolex. Yeah, I think Dominic. I think you're right. It's easier accuracy, but it's there are a number of things, a number of reasons I like the slower one. Okay, reason number one, the lower frequency, you're not beating up your gear train and all of the other parts as much. Nice and slow like that. The other thing, and the guy who was one of the reasons that he used 18 semi oscillations per hour in his Akiriva, he said you can see it better. You can see the movement, and that's a nice reason. Okay, Blake, we'll see you later. There he is, Michael. I was about to. One of yours, one of the texts came up. Um, I mentioned that tomorrow they're turning off our internet for a good part of the day, I'm afraid. And so I thought, well, I better get something in really quick. Um, you guys, let's see. Tim is hitting the bottle, or the is in his cups. It's 5 o'clock. Oh my goodness, it is. No, it's not. It's only 4 o'clock. Well, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, right? Lower beat movements with larger balance wheels look more beautiful for sure. It seems like the hairspring is almost breathing. What a wonderful description. What a perfect description. That's exactly what they look like. I know I'm hopping. Oh, no. Hey, listen, Michael, nobody's late today. This came up out of, I was thinking, well, I better do something. This is what it is. I have a question for the group regarding zone resonance watches. Why is the parking meter out of favor? Ooh, I won't say anything. Anybody got any opinions on that? Hey, young Brando, here's a time. Eli, jump in. I don't know how much out of favor it is. You know, that's a the okay. Here is a. This is the original. Um, this is the original resonance, and in the back you've got two separate movements, and and then the balance wheels come to try to create the resonance in it. One of the reasons I'm convinced, even though he wouldn't admit it, FP Jorn got very upset if people started using this as a dual timer. Okay. If people were doing that. And he says that's not the point of it. It's to have so you can see the resonance between these two movements to create a very accurate movement for both of them. Because one of the things that resonance does is it blocks out resonance. Resonance is one of the big problems that gets in the way because all kinds of other stuff is going around. And if you have an intentional resonance, that you then block out other kinds of things to give your watch a special accuracy. So what Jorn did is, well, I got to put the parking meter up in one of these things. And so I went to a thing at the Horological Society of New York, and I had this with me because FP Jorn was there, and I wanted to ask him some questions about it. And so I set it up, wound it up, and was sure that the two times were exactly the same. He took a look at it, and he was looking at it, and then he out of his pocket he pulls out a loop, and looks at it some more, and looks at it, and, you know, it was like going through the TSA. I don't know, let's see if anything is hidden in there. And I thought, and he finally was finished looking at it, and he looked at me, and I thought he was going to say, "I'm afraid this is a phony." He didn't. He said, "That's really a good one, a good example of that." And but you know, like I can see why people would want to use it as a dual time because it works perfectly well as a dual time. But the purpose of resonance, of course, is so you can look at it and say, "My God, this even the second hands have exactly the same time as one another, even though they're two movements within it." Yeah, what young Brando said, I think, is right. Hi, Thomas. How you doing, man? Hi, Abdul. Abdul, you sort of came in here quietly. Purpose and use are totally different things. Michael Cobb, are you being practical? What a what a terrible person you become when you become practical. Watch collectors an oxymoron. You've got to know that. It's a mechanical watch. When you can look at your iPhone and get the right time, it's connected up to a an atomic watch inside of a you know some mysterious mountain. Hi, Imika. What's up? Do you have any good book recommendations on watches? You know what I found out? Um, for beginners, I don't think there's one that's been better than Ryan Schmidt's book called the Wristwatch Handbook for a beginner's book. Um, and there's probably no better book, period, on watchmaking other than George Daniels' watchmaking. The thing about watchmaking, I found out, most people haven't read it. They have it, but they haven't read it. And the reason I found out was that I didn't read it from cover to cover. I don't know if anybody does, but that's it's sort of like a reference book. But one of the things I read was that every watch in that book is a key wound. I didn't realize that until I read it. And old George was going, he had a rant on people who couldn't keep a key for a key wound watch. I don't know. He was like, oh, that keyless works. It hurts the appearance of the watch, which I thought was sort of interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I used to have a diesel. I had a 240D. That thing couldn't kill that thing with a hammer. It was a great car. Okay, Michael, you got me there. Practicality speaking, watch collecting doesn't make sense. It's a lot of fun. That's the whole point. You're right. Michael knows how to have fun. I know that too. I think it's a classic. No, I don't know. Maybe. Um, the book. Oh, the watchmaking. Oh yeah, that's a classic. This book though, I really um. Here's a book that's sort of interesting by Derek Pratt. No, it's not by Derek Pratt. It's about Derek Pratt and the work that he did. He did a lot of work with Urban Jurgensen, and he and George Daniels were good friends. Except even though Pratt was English, he lived in Switzerland. Um, the one that's sort of interesting is the Art of Brigade. I have that one too, and I'm convinced that that book, The Art of Brigade, was used by F.P. Journe probably more than any other book. Even though The Art of Brigade, a lot of it is sort of a like a reference book that you go through and you find out which watches by Brigade were made when. And anyway, but this is the one by that, and I got all kinds of little things here. But this book is probably not for everyone. It's the one I think for beginners is this book. I was talking to Ryan Schmidt not long ago, and I think he's working on a new book on the different parts and elements of a watch and how they're made. Um, and sort of the process. He had talked to the guys at Agenor, and apparently they were they really liked what Larica's doing because I think we're very close to being a patron because we're not in it for profit. Hey, Angus, how you doing? Angus, I tell you, I've learned more from Angus, I think, than a lot of different people. Collectors find their own practicality, even though I usually don't wear a watch at home. I put something on just to take the trash to the curb. That I wear a watch all the time. Except in the shower and to bed. I don't wear them to bed at night. Um, I don't know. I just like them. It's not a. This is why I suppose I should be more aware of accuracy, primarily from the point of view of the quality of the watch. Okay, so yeah, I had on this watch. I had on my Resonance, and I was taking out the recycle, and I realized this is my God, what am I doing? But I enjoy wearing it. I enjoy wearing all my watches. Yeah, I'm the same way, Michael. With no watch, it doesn't feel right. My I used to wear my Fitbit over here all the time, but the strap I got was irritating my skin, so I quit wearing it and just put it in my pocket, and I don't miss it. But boy, over here, yeah, yeah, I feel it's part of just sort of the habit. Sometimes I even use it for telling time. You have a G-Shock or swimming. I never wear a watch swimming. Michael, um, a lot of people say, well, they want to know, what's the diving level? I'm getting this Patek Philippe, and it says you can take it down for, I don't know, 100 meters. My God, what would you take? I mean, if you want to get a watch to go diving with, go to a dive shop. They don't have any of the watches we buy. They have watches for diving. I think most of them are quartz or something, are smart watches. But why in the world would you take a really good watch down to Davy Jones' locker? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Question for collectors: how many years into collecting before you stopped obsessing about accuracy? I don't know. Some people still obsess about it. I like it, but I don't obsess about it. Yeah, not today anyway. Well, that's because they're knocking out uh my internet tomorrow, so I missed four live discussions over the weekend, so I get to make up for it today. For protection. No, I don't. You know what? I like them. It's they're nice and warm, and they just feel good. They're not for protection. I don't what they would protect. The mail lady likes it, so I've got to be careful. Okay, let's see. Well, I haven't. It was really fun. I tried to get some when I put a thing on the what's it called? Pure Horology. I put it on Pure Horology, and I put up the thing about the Vincent Calabrese Calcius. I said, how many would be interested in putting this together? And uh, oh, I get it now. Okay, thanks, Eli. And I didn't get it at first, but now I do. Anyway, I was, a lot of people said, "Oh yeah, let's do something like that." And I don't know. I'm going to try to put up two specifics. One is the one I already put up, and I'm going to try to see if I can sort of specify what would be sort of fun to do. But I want to do the same thing. I think it'd be so cool if I could get Daniela Dufour together, working with Laurent and Nicholas Viderek on a watch that simply had a nice big balance, had a nice slow uh, frequency to it, and then it had all of the gear train on these little finger bridges. I just think that'd be the coolest watch to have. I'll see. I'll put it up there. I'll try to put it up to see if it have any kind of interest. Um, the other thing, the one that we're talking about for the next project for Larique is our Zulu hour, Air Zulu, Air HEUREZOULU is the French for the Zulu hour, but you pronounce it Air Zulu, and it sounds like the air kind of like a for flying, and Zulu, of course, is a pilot's time. Love that. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to see if we can get a really interesting kind of GMT uh, hour hand for that, rather than something simple. There are two ideas. One would be a retrograde, and the other one would be using the Aethys, I think, the one where you have those three different you have three columns or three tracks, and so one track could be from like the first 8 hours, the second would be the second 8 hours, and the third would be the third 8 hours, and you have a three-armed hand. Okay, sort of sounds funny, a hand with three arms rather than an arm with three hands. But I mean, a lot of possibilities like that. The latest Stefan Kadoki has that three columns on that. I like he said that. I got an Oura ring to do health monitoring with the intention of switching from Garmin watch, but I'm so used to wearing that, doing everything. The mechanical has to be for special use. An Oura ring. Wow. Oura ring. Where's the Oura ring? Oh, by the way, something I wanted to talk about. Um, the Grand Prix d'Horloge de Genève, I think, is going to be announcing the competing watches sometime in early July. I know that because the due date for us having our watch up there is, I think, the 23rd of June, and we're trying to get everything ready for it. And every year for the last, I don't know how many years now, we've had the Grand Prix picks, and there are three prizes uh, that I've got for them. One for the most who can name the most nominations. In other words, you have a list of watches, and then you have to pick one out. And picking nominations is a little easier because there's about six watches for each nomination, so you can pick, happens to be in one of the six. The second prize is for the watch that has the actual most wins. Now that's a little harder, and that's sort of the top prize for that one. And then the other one is sort of like, the roulette wheel guess, and that's for the watch that wins the Aiguille d'Or, the one that wins the grand prize. So those are three prizes for have that. Take care, Michael. We'll see you. Uh, okay, I tell you, I've been, oh wow, we've been on this for almost an hour and a half. So anyhow, well, listen, guys, thanks for popping in. Okay, wait. Okay. What are your thoughts on the non-traditional types of time displays on watches? Watches like Reston's Urek. um, you know, they're fine. I've got no problem with that. Like I said, my issues center around having traditional using traditional materials in mechanical watches. And if they want to put googly eyes like Constantine does, or some of these, they have a lot of different kinds of things. Resonance isn't resonance. Don't they use quartz on that? Something like that. I'm not sure. Urek. Now, some of them, I tell you, with watches, Urek, some I just don't like the looks of them. There's nothing against Urek in and of themselves. Some of their, I mean, I don't like the Roger Dubuis, the modern ones, with all of this everything skeletonized. I think that's a big mistake. I wish they would have some more, some of the really pretty sympathy models that they had at one time. Yeah, Abdul. Anyway, guys, take care. And if you have to contact me tomorrow, give it a shot. But I don't know if our internet will be working then or not. We'll see you.